Hey guys, it's Nick, and it's review time of the 2020-2021 Chicago Blackhawks season. We went into the season with low expectations with this Chicago Blackhawks team. And well, it kind of followed with low expectations. We knew what this team was going to be. It's a rebuilder. And, well, the loss of their captain, number 19, Jonathan Toews, to injury, really put a damper in the Hawks season. Probably if Taser would have been in the lineup, the Hawks could have had a better opportunity to battle for that last playoff spot. Well, Taves was out for the entire season, and the Hawks were just done. The Hawks finished not dead last in the division, not even seventh in the division. They finished sixth. It's better than what people were thinking going into the season. It was a little bit better than what I was thinking. I remember when I started uh, after every review in the first 4 games of the season, I was ending my videos off. We know it's going to be a long season, but most of all, let's go Hawks. Well, yeah, it was a long season, but it was actually somewhat a unique season. It was a shortened season due to the pandemic, and well, the Hawks actually had some highlights in this season. They looked well, and they actually had moments where they could have contended for a playoff spot. But it just seemed like the pressure got to them in the later parts of the season. So let's get into this review of the season, shall we? So here are the standings. Going into the season, on the right, I predicted the Lightning to win the division, the Hurricanes to come in 7th, the Stars to come in 3rd, the Blue Jackets to come in 4th, Nashville to come in 5th, the Panthers to come in 6th, and the Hawks to come in 7th, and Detroit to finish off the standings at 8th. Well, this is the outcome. The division winners were the Carolina Hurricanes in first place, the Florida Panthers coming in second, the Tampa Bay Lightning coming in third, Nashville finishing off in fourth. They had a hot run in the last month and a half of the season. Dallas to come in fifth, the Hawks to come in sixth, and Columbus to finish 7th, where they imploded this year, and Detroit, which everyone thought were the bottom feeders, finished at 8th. So the Hawks actually did a little bit better in the standings than what they had, what I predicted. The Hawks were I predicted to be battling for 7th or 8th in the division. Well, that did not happen. They ended up going into 6th because for a while the Hawks were actually sitting 4th in the division until they met Nashville quite a bit and they couldn't beat them and they fell apart. So that put a damper in the Hawks' run. But otherwise, the standings were kind of different because the Stars had COVID issues at the beginning of the year. Then there was a blizzard in Dallas that Dallas didn't know how to handle it and led to them having to shut down games a little bit and reschedule again. And Dallas had issues just with global issues. The Blue Jackets just imploded. I honestly thought they would have been a lot better, but they weren't. They just fell apart. The Panthers, I am not surprised they made it to the playoffs because I knew they were going to be a good team, but I just didn't know what Bobrovsky would have been like this year. Would he have been like last season Bobrovsky where he was horrible, or would he have a little bit of a bounce back? he had a slight bounce back, but not to the greatest stature where they end up going with Drieger and Spencer Knight at points in games, and well, Spencer Knight's holding them in the playoffs right now. He had a good game yesterday for his career first playoff win. And the Panthers managed to climb and get to second. Tampa Bay had a rough start because they had to deal with the COVID issues from Dallas, and then they had a couple injuries and here and there, but the last Vassy basically kept them in the race for the first place spot. The Hurricanes are just a brutal team to play against. They're tough, they're hard-nosed hockey, and they are good. That's why they won the Central Division, and that's why they came close to winning the President's Trophy. This was just an interesting season. It was hard to predict, let's just say that. It was a fun one to watch, but it was hard to watch at points for being a Hawk fan. So let's get into that part of the season. So this season, the Hawks had injuries. We went in injured, and it led to more injuries during the season. Andrew Shaw got another concussion and had to retire. Brent Seabrook went into the season not knowing if he would be able to return, but had to retire in the middle of the season. Then the Hawks got back Kirby Dach from his broken wrist when he played for Team Canada. And then, with the last few games left in the season, Dach ended up re-aggravating his injury. So, the Hawks were injured this season, and they had their captain out for the entire season with some illness. So, the Hawks were trying to find their identity, where they ended up finding a solid identity. They found a good goalie in Kevin Lankinen. He played well. He was in talks for Calder for about a month and a half until the end of the season when his numbers started to take a dip. The Hawks looked good. They found their game. They started to find a solid form of hockey, but then for about the second month and a half until the month of March came, the Hawks then fell apart. That month killed the team, and that's when the momentum of the Hawks stealing a playoff spot led to them falling out of the playoff race entirely. The team just looked lost in that month, and they looked exhausted. It caught up to them. The team was playing over their power. Patrick Kane had a stellar season. It was his first season in the NHL, not scoring 20 goals. Alex DeBrincat, I would have to say, was the MVP for the Chicago Blackhawks this season, putting up a total of 32 goals in the season, where he was on pace to scoring 50 goals in the season if this was a normal 82-game season. DeBrincat was outstanding. He found his scoring touch again after having a rough 2019-2020 season for finding the back of the net. DeBrincat was lighting the lamp like it was nothing. I think when they were able to put the A on his sweater, he wanted to show why he is somewhat of a part of the leadership core of the Chicago Blackhawks. DeBrincat had a stellar season for himself. Then we found the emergence of the rookies. Brandon Hegel, who started the season out as a taxi squad member and then became an every-nighter and became a very useful player on the team, where Hegel ended up this season with 52 games played, 9 goals, 15 assists for 24 points on the season. Hegel was very useful, and he had a couple clutch moments for himself in the season, scoring a big OT winner against the Nashville Predators, another OT winner against the Dallas Stars. Hegel was very useful for the Hawks on this team this year. I really liked how Hegel was for the Chicago Blackhawks. He helped the team out, and it got to the Hawks' momentum moves. And then you had Pius Suter, who started the season out stellar, scoring his career first goal plus a hat trick in the same game against the Detroit Red Wings. Suter had a stellar season for himself as a rookie on the Blackhawks as well. Then you had Philip Kershev, who had a couple highlight moments for the team. Kevin Lankinen emerged as the number one goalie for the team this year, and then he had fallen off on the numbers side of the game until the end of the season. He looked a little bit fatigued, but Lankinen was outstanding in net for a good portion of this season. The Hawks found their rookies. They played well. They looked like they did not want to be sent back down and don't want to disappoint. Then we had a couple in-season trades where we ended up bringing back a player in Vinny Hinostroza, who was outstanding for the Chicago Blackhawks when he made his return to the team. And we acquired a couple prospects, a couple draft picks, and, well, the team looked like they found some key pieces that they can use going further. This team has a good build around them of youth and experience going in the future, because you have Duncan Keith teaching the young blue liners, and Ian Mitchell, Nick Beaudin, Adam Boqvist, Wyatt Kalynuk, another rookie who emerged as a solid every-nighter after making his NHL debut. The Hawks have a good young D-core coming up. And then probably our number one defenseman this year, and Connor Murphy proved why he's a good defenseman to have. He can hit, he can block shots, and he has a good shot on net. The Hawks were able to emerge and find some games where they probably should not have won. Lankinen had a couple big games. Malcolm Subban had a couple big games for himself. And even in the last few games of the season, Colin Delia was able to steal the spotlight. The Hawks have a good young core going further. This is an interesting time, though. They're still in a rebuild. They're still trying to figure it out. They're trying to find their game. But I think, given how it looked this season, add a couple pieces in the offseason, the Hawks could prevail. This is a good young team going into the future. If Doc stays healthy, Adam Boqvist stays healthy, you have good young players like that. Stay healthy, stay in the lineup every night, you can have a good rebound. This is a season where, yeah, it's a throwaway to what could have been an okay season for themselves. I would say it was okay how they played. I get it. It was a long season after it hit the month of March, because after March, everything fell apart. But the team looked like they did not want to give up, which that's a good thing to see. So down in the comments down below, I want to hear what your favorite moments from the 2021 season was for the Chicago Blackhawks. And thank you for watching the broadcast. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And most of all, let's go Hawks.